Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Sunday, the 8th of June 2025. The year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. I've got some posts I'm just going to go through on my own thread. A post here from CSW, again about his new Substack, which looks quite exciting. We've got a couple of articles here from Cointelegraph. We'll just touch on, see if they're interesting or not. Some articles on CoinGeek. This is Craig's Substack. I quite like the look of this article. The weight of what remains. Check out the new merch on Herbalife. We'll have a quick look at the figures. Go through them. Some 365 days of Bitcoin history. And then that'll be the end of the show. Right, let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong and transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, here we go. Check it out. So I posted this, 10 hours ago. I said, here we go. See this microscopic little blip in the chart? That's the billions of dollars they printed in 2008 to bail out the banks. And this comes from the Louisiana Fed. And then just to give people an idea about how much currency that actually is. So remember, a trillion is 1,000 billion. So you're trying to fit sort of like a thousand, well, like 4,000 billion into that little centimeter gap there. And then this bit here, this little blip that you can hardly see, literally a microscopic blip, is the billions that they printed in 2008. So I literally had to blow it up. You can literally, that little thing there you can hardly see is the billions that people were like literally, you losing their shit over, going, oh, they've printed billions to bail out the banks, blah, blah, blah. That is nothing. That is nothing. That little blip in 2008, it's nothing, literally, compared to what they printed in the couple of months in 2020. That's why I'm saying, like, this is serious. That's how much trouble we're in. There is no justification for that level of currency printing ever. Like, literally ever. So, yeah. See what I mean when you see that. Right, let's get into a CSW. So he said here, I am done bleating to feed the free while toddlers with keyboards misquote platitudes and algorithms chew nuances like cheap gum. I've hurled thoughts into the digital latrine long enough. Clever lines ground into slurry between hot takes and diet fads. Now I'm writing where it matters. Daily, relentlessly, unfiltered. Not your goddamn content. Not some breathless clickbait gurgling to be shared by the brain dead. This is full-length, full-bore, spine-snapping prose. Essays that don't end when the reader gets bored, but when the thought is done strangling the lie. Novels cut into jagged pieces and fed in sequence like a slow drug. Diagrams of reality dressed in equations. Truths laid bare like a body on the slab. Technical, clinical, and soaked in purpose. I'm loving that. So I'm looking forward to getting into that article there. So let's see what Cointelegraph says. So Cointelegraph says Singapore's ousted crypto firms may not find shelter elsewhere. Right, so what is all this about? Singapore's ousting of unlicensed firms was not a sudden move. It's among several regions tightening licensing duties. Singapore's latest order of unlicensed crypto firms to stop serving overseas customers marks the beginning of the end for regulatory loopholes in the blockchain industry. The May 30 directive from the Monetary Authority of Singapore tells crypto firms and individuals offering services abroad to get licensed or get out. Do they have the authority to say get licensed? Because you can't license a crime, So why do they need a license if you can't license a crime? Because it's not a crime to, operate a mining rig or an exchange, But we'll see. To some in the industry, it may look like Singapore is suddenly turning away from its crypto-friendly stance. Yeah. But in reality, the city-state has remained consistent in its push for compliance. The move aligns with a global crackdown aimed at money laundering, terrorism financing. For exchanges still playing regulatory pinball, constantly seeking loopholes to avoid licensing requirements, the reality is clear. They will soon find themselves having to relocate to their favourite destination. The Moon, Joshua Chu, Hong Kong-based lawyer and co-chair of the Cities Web3 Association, told Cointelegraph. Yes, but, is the government corrupt? Is the government a mafia? Wanting a license, just wanting to know where these people are so they can shut them down like they did in the UK, shut all the brokerage firms. And brokerage firms are just simply providing a service. They're not even sort of like product providers. They literally provide a service. And yet they were shut down. Absolutely outrageous. Exiled in Singapore, crypto nomads run out of road. Singapore has been a favourite hub for regulatory arbitrage in crypto, thanks to its Payment Services Act, which requires licensing for firms serving local clients. With a relatively small domestic population of around 6 million, many crypto companies opted to sidestep licensing by simply avoiding Singaporean customers and focusing on overseas markets instead of noted YK Pirk, CEO and co-founder of the legal tech firm GVRN on X. Yeah, all right, I think I get it. I haven't really got time to read all of that, but licensing. We know that basically, Singapore being the third financial hub, or third largest financial hub in the world, third to London and New York, that they're going to be cabal run. So they're just going to be looking at ways to crack down on crypto firms. Give us your customers crypto. Basically, is what the line is probably going to be at the end. Let's see what Cointelegraph says here. So mass data deletion is a call to digital preservation action. Again, I mean, the only way you can... That's the whole point of Bitcoin, is to preserve data. When administrations erase or quietly remove public data sets, it's not just bureaucratic housekeeping, it's a threat to transparency, accountability and collective memory of society. Yeah, because they're actually starting to delete the laws, deleting countries' constitutions off the digital records. That's what they're doing. It's outrageous. Let's stop pretending that data just disappears. It doesn't. It's deleted, erased, buried, and more often than not, done deliberately. Every time a new administration seizes power, priorities are reshuffled. This is to be expected. But what is unacceptable is the quiet, coordinated disappearance of public information. It can already be seen, particularly in the United States, at a pace that should alarm anyone who cares about the truth. Also, Cointelegraph actually reporting on the corruption here. From public health dashboards to economic indicators, entire swathes of data are being taken offline without a press release or explanation. Again, deleting the constitution, deleting the laws. Just gone. This isn't housekeeping or protective historical revisionism. It's happening in real time. The fragility of digital memory. The internet was meant to be a great equalizer, a vast public ledger of knowledge used for the greater good. But this ideal has not translated into reality. Instead, it has metastasized into digital mirage, vast in appearance but fragile in reality. When websites vanish, archives fold, or files get quietly pulled, there is no librarian to ask, no phone number to call, and usually no explanation of why. The centralization of information has become its greatest weakness, a system designed for convenience rather than permanence. Let's not sugarcoat it. This is dangerous. Power cannot be held accountable if there is no access to its actions, and as such, justice, policy and reform cannot be pursued if data supporting them has already been deleted. Absolutely. Facts don't have a shelf life, but in the current system they may as well come with an expiration date. Consider World War II and the Holocaust, the horrors that unfolded in silence and the gaps in the evidence that allowed deniers to crawl through the cracks. If the tools available today had existed then, tools to record, store and distribute without censorship, how much might have changed? Well, the lies wouldn't have got out, would they? That's what really would have happened. Proceed to 2021, when independent news outlets like Apple Daily were forced offline within hours. In Hong Kong, a 26-year-old archives of journalism 26-year archive of journalism became inaccessible almost overnight as servers were shut down and digital records wiped from public reach. Hope was renewed after a cyber activist began backing up articles on the censor-proof permanent blockchain. Really? Well, that's not going to be permanent either. Fast forward to today in Spain, and we see the same problem years later. ISPs are blocking entire parts of the internet under pressure from corporate sports interests. No vote cast, no public conversation, just censorship wrapped in legalese. Don't mistake silence for peace. Silence is control. Persevering public data. Ensure erasure is no longer a crude act of destruction. It's a quiet, legalistic, bureaucratic process that has been sharpened over the decades. While the threat to public data preservation is real, so too are the responses. Non-profit initiatives like the Internet Archive have quietly backed up billions of web pages over the years, effectively safeguarding against digital decay. These kinds of open source archive efforts operate independently of governments because no single administration would ever hold the keys to a public record. But again, they got hold of the Wayback Machine and started deleting files there. Even I had to copy a few because I knew they were going to disappear, and luckily I got them before they did disappear. Like jeepers. Blockchain-based data storage solutions also offer censorship-resistant and tamper-proof alternative storage solutions, unlike today's dominant cloud providers, which allow an even act of deletion and manipulation of data. Every deleted article, every missing data set, and every broken link is a chisel taken to the foundation of public reality. Without data, truth becomes subjective. When truth is subjective, power speaks last and loudest. The loss of information is the loss of history, and while solutions exist, they are not the point of this article. This is not a commercial, this is a warning. Data preservation is rebellion. Preserving public data is no longer a technical challenge, it's a civic obligation. Not everyone can craft legislation or lead protest movements, but everyone can save a copy. For every archive and every witness, there is protection of truth, not just for what is happening, but most importantly for what was. George Orwell wrote, "It's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words." That was fiction, but today it's strategy, because the future isn't built on dreams, it's built on records. When public memory is hosted on systems that can be edited, purchased or removed, what remains is not history. It's a version of history, authored by the last person in power standing. This is the true danger, not misinformation but uninformation. A void where only a blank slate remains, where accountability should exist. The choice ahead is simple: let the deletions continue, or fight for permanence and truth. The record must outlast the regime, and the facts must outline the people who fear them. Without this, current generations will not only lose their history, they will also forfeit their future. Whoa. And yet, Cointelegraph is cabal owned, but maybe the people who work for them can't see that yet, because obviously they're still supporting the bankers BTC coin, the shit coin that, not many use it. Yeah, fat lot of good that is going to be. Not many use it. That's hilarious. They still fall for it. All right, let's have a look at CoinGeek. So he said a miner's in tight spot as post-halving takes dent on revenue. All right, and the other one, UK updates enforcement guide for heightened transparency. Well, it's basically more breach of privacy is what that is. Let's see what this says. The United Kingdom Financial Conduct Authority published the final version of its enforcement guide on Tuesday after a consultation on proposed measures to streamline the guide and increase transparency. In other words, erode privacy for them. The updated enforcement guide's main highlight is the FCA has formally upheld the existing exceptional circumstances test for announcing investigations into regulated and listed firms, while adding 3 new conditions under which investigations will be announced. Under the existing exceptional circumstances test, the FCA consider a public announcement about an investigation desirable if it will maintain public confidence in the financial system or the market, protect consumers or investors, prevent widespread malpractice, help the investigation itself, for example, by bringing forward witness, or maintain the smooth operation of the market. In its final update, published on June 3rd, the FCA identified 3 additional situations of circumstances where there were a broad support for increased transparency. Oh, whatever. I don't believe that. I think they're just trying to erode privacy, personally. Call me a cynic. Let's have a look at this one then. So block reward mining profitability is under severe pressure in 2025, driven by the 2024 Great Coin halving and the escalating energy costs. The halving slashed block rewards to 3.125 BTC, while global mining difficulty reached a record 123 terahashes, pushing the hash price to a low of that's 4 cents or half a cent. No, that... Yeah, 5 cents. Woof. 5 cents per terahash per second. For many miners, operational costs now exceed revenue, with some United States operations facing costs of up to $137,000 per Great Coin, far above the market price of $100,000. Energy costs, which can account for 80% of operational expenses, are the primary challenge. In regions like Oman, subsidized electricity rates of 3 cents per kilowatt hour enable profitability, but miners in Europe are part of North America face rates as high as 20 cents per kilowatt hour, rendering operations unsustainable without significant efficiency gains. Upgrading to advanced rigs like MicroBTs and Wattminer M66S Plus is a common strategy, but the high upfront cost, often exceeding $10,000 per unit, limits accessibility for smaller miners. Oof, that is expensive. That is expensive. Yeah, you know, we get the gist of what's going on there. Jeepers. All right, let's get into this one. So the weight of what remains. This is CSW's article. The weight of what remains is not the burden of the climb or the toil of the moment, but the unshakable presence of what was missed. The quiet, irretrievable losses etched into time. It lingers like a shadow, born not on the shoulders but deep within, a persistent ache that grows sharper with understanding. It is the realization that the things left undone, the laughter unheard, and the moments unshared from their own kind of gravity, pulling at the edges of life with a gentle, relentless force. What remains is not only regret, but the knowledge that even within the weight, there lies a chance to carry something different, something better. Through the window, paradise waits. The mornings come early now, earlier than I'd ever have chosen in youth, but I've come to find something in them. These hours before the world wakes, something that feels like truth. The coffee is always black. Oh, yeah, that's what I do. Get up early and have a coffee, loving that. Bitter enough to cut through the fog of sleep, but not so much that it demands my attention. It sits beside me, forgotten more often than not, cooling while I wrestle with whatever words the day might hold. The window is always there, and beyond it, paradise. I don't mean that the grand sense, not some. I don't mean that in the grand sense, not some sprawling coastline or sweeping vista. It's quieter than that. The first light spilling over the tops of trees, the occasional call of a bird cutting through the stillness. That is early. The soft gold that touches everything and makes it seem weightless. It's a paradise of moments, the kind I used to ignore but now notice without quite knowing why. I can tell you why. It's because you're starting to appreciate the moments in life. Gratitude is growing, probably especially after the accident that you had. Actually, you know, these moments could have been gone, and now you start to realise the moments that you weren't noticing before because you're more grateful for them. That's what's happening, Craig. And again, like the more you stimulate the hippocampus with creativity and initiative, and maintain gratitude, that actually leads on to stimulation of the pineal gland, which allows you to receive intuition, which is amazing. I've been here long enough to understand the difference between what you have and what you think you lack. There's a kind of arrogance in forgetting how good things are, a blindness to the ease of sitting here, working, while the world beyond the window asks so little of me. I think about that often, about how the people I've seen, the ones who truly carry their lives on their backs, would look at my troubles and laugh. Or maybe they wouldn't laugh. Maybe they'd just look the way they always did, with that quiet, unshakable understanding of something I've only ever glimpsed. When I was younger, I thought the struggles in my head mattered more. They didn't. They never did. not in the way I imagined. They felt heavy then, unbearable even, but now I see they were nothing compared to the weight of those who climbed hills every day, who bore burdens so real they carved themselves into the lines of their faces, the set of the shoulders. I've seen those lines and I can feel them, even now years later when the memory of the faces themselves have started to blur. This morning, like every morning, the cursor blinked at me, the screen waits. There's work to be done and I'll do it, not because the world demands it, not because the clock is ticking, but because it's mine, as if that small possession redeems it somehow. The hill had always been hers, her climb, her burden, her silence, but even then it was never really hers, was it? Just as the work of mine isn't mine, not truly, it's just another weight to carry, though it feels lighter when I pretend it belongs to me. But outside, paradise lingers. It always does, just beyond the glass. It's strange to sit here at the desk in this office with that kind of beauty just out of reach. Strange and humbling to know how easy it would be to step into it, to lose myself in it, and yet I stay here inside with the work. It feels like a choice, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's something else entirely. Oh, he's feeling the urge, feeling the fire. You know, feeling the rage inside, that burning rage where like there's work to be done, even though it doesn't have to be done. The universe is calling me for a purpose. That's what it is. I think of her sometimes, the woman who climbed the hill. I think of the weight she carried and the way it shaped her. I remember how I sat there watching, thinking myself removed from it all, as if her climb and mine could never intersect. But they did, they still do. Her weight wasn't mine, it never will be, but the memory of it has become something I carry all the same. I sit with her now older, not wiser exactly, but clearer somehow. Clearer about the things that matter and the things that don't. Clearer about the way the world holds both beauty and burden, often in the same moment, often in the same place. The coffee cools beside me, the screen glows, expectant, and outside paradise waits, indifferent to whether I step into it or not. Oh, this is beautiful. The weight of the hill. The sky had just begun to pale, its deep indigo lightening into soft blues that clung to the edge of the horizon like the last whisper of a dream. Below the valley stretched out in a patchwork of rice paddies, their terraces carved into the land like a step of a forgotten amphitheatre. Each one shimmered faintly, catching the early light. Their emerald depths broke only to the slender, winding paths that crisscrossed them. Java could deceive the eye like this, its beauty so vivid, so overwhelming, that it could almost silence the parts of the mind that sensed something hidden beneath the surface. How often I did sit there, blinded by that beauty. I remember groaning under the weight of my own body, feeling the strain of the climb, irritated by the stone beneath my feet, the wet heat of the air. I looked at the valley, then only to see its beauty as something distant, something that mocked me for my effort. I didn't know what it meant to climb and still be grateful for the weight. Yeah, this is all about maturing emotionally. The air carried the damp sweetness of earth and vegetation, mingling with the faint smoke of distant cook fires and the metallic tang of dew on stone. Birds called out, their voices sharp against the hum of crickets. It was the sort of place that would make an outsider marvel, almost envy in its simplicity, until they looked closer. Back then, I only ever looked closer when it served me, when my complaint needed validation. I didn't see the strength in what they lay beyond the surface. I didn't understand that beauty could coexist with pain, that it often does. It's strange remembering how young I was, how little I understood what I saw every day. She appeared then, emerging from the base of the hill, where the shadows still linger, thick and dark. At first, she seemed a part of the landscape, moving so steadily, so deliberately, that it was easy to mistake her for another fixture of this ancient place. Her feet met the steps with the kind of rhythm that only repetition could perfect. Step, breath, step, breath. The bag of rice rested across her back, slung from her shoulders in a woven sling that dug sharply into her flesh. Her spine curved under its weight, her body bent forward as if in supplication to the climb before her. I never bent forward like that, not really. I felt the strain of the climb, but it never owned me. The weight she carried, it was a truth I couldn't face. What did I carry then? An ego that couldn't bear to sweat, a heart too small to hold anything other than my own discontent. Oh, wow. That there is the writings of a boy becoming a man, of a man turning into a gentleman, wise up, starting to be grateful for what they've got, and looking back at what they've done. You know, assessing life, like what's it all about. What a fantastic piece there. That's 25 minutes. Oh. Let's have a quick look at Macabre Life. So one of these t-shirts was sold. Check it out. Look at that. Satoshi Nakamoto had a vision. That vision was Bitcoin. Bitcoin is Satoshi vision. Bitcoin is BSV. That was one that was sold recently, so I was told. Fantastic. Let's have a quick look at the figures. We've got Gradecoin, $106,000. Bitcoin, just $33. Yeah, 33.28, top left. Hash rate, 0.06. Network nodes, 0.18. Transactions though, 94.25. Block size, 65.54. Let's have a look at the blocks coming through. There we go. Relatively small, 42 being the biggest one I can see in that column there. But oh, look at Gradecoin struggling. They're struggling to get all of their blocks over a megabyte. No way. Bcrash, no blocks over a megabyte. And Fisher Price Cash can't get all their blocks over a kilobyte, let alone anywhere near a megabyte. Currently 74,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than Gradecoin. Mining Bitcoin at a 57% comparable loss. 6.6% more profitable to mine on Fisher Price Cash. 6% more profitable to mine on Bcrash. Well, 0.6. Much of a muchness really there. Let's have the politics because we know they're in the pie charts. Here we go. Global hash rate 7 days. Global hash rate 24 hours. Gradecoin hash rate, other miners 6.25. Bcrash, other miners 44.44. Fisher Price Cash, who cares? And we got Bitcoin. Let's have a look at this compared to what's on chain. 317,324 transactions confirmed over the last 24 hours. Kuv 31.06. Tal 29.19. QD Link 22.3. SA100 9.32. Gorilla Pool 7.45. And Mining Dutch trying to get looking at 0.62. Let's have a look at some of these exchanges then. The 24-hour trade volume. OKX 1.1 million. Gate.io 500,000. Binance Futures 3.6 million. Or 3.3 million. MEXC just to about 300,000. That's not a lot at all. But Huobi, that's 8.45 million on Huobi. All right. And OrangeX 4.59. 4.59. Like, whoa. Let's have a quick look at that. Poloniex. 2 million. Here we go. Coinfinex. Oh, they're all the small ones. Let's just have a quick look at that OrangeX one then. Let's have a look. Uh, 24-hour turnover of a BSV. Yeah, 5 million on OrangeX. Like, wow, that's massive. That is really big. What on earth is going on there? Overall market cap 3.2 trillion. Gradecoin 106 million. Market cap $2.1 trillion. But 24-hour trade volume 0.7, less than 1%. Less than 1% 24-hour trade volume. Oh, it looks like just having a little bit of a price rally there today. Right, we'll compare that to Bitcoin and see what's going on. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, look, there's been a dip in all of them. So Gradecoin has bounced back. Ethereum hasn't quite recovered. XRP has actually more than recovered there. But the majority of them haven't. Or BCH a little bit more. Look at that. And they reckon all these are independent. Like, what a joke. What a joke. Look, they look so similar. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. What's that? EOS? Dope. Not looking good, is it? Right, where is Bitcoin? Jasmine up there at 81. Bitcoin 86. Yeah, so that was pushed down as well. Didn't recover as much as Gradecoin has done. No surprise there, really. But again, I mean, what are they going to do? You know, I mean, literally, genuine Bitcoin at $33. $33 is crazy. Let's have a look at trade volume. CoinDCX apparently in first place. Hit beat Huobi, so they must be this relatively similar. But where's Orange X? Orange X with 5 million. OKX only had like what 1.1 million. So Orange X should be there. I wonder if they're just trying to purposely confuse that with Orange Gateway. I guess. Let's have a look at Bitcoin versus Gradecoin. Yeah, so that was that. That was the price coming down and not recovering quite as much as Gradecoin. Yeah. Let's have a look at the big dog. Yeah, so the market went down and pushed up just slightly. But I mean, this is complete manipulation. Complete manipulation. Right, let's get on to some 365 days of Bitcoin history. Check it out. So on the 8th of June 1967, the United States ship USS Liberty was attacked and sunk by Israel. Look at that. And Israel apologized for the attack, saying the USS Liberty had been attacked in error after being mistaken for an Egyptian ship. However, you know, radio contact and everything else would say that wasn't the case, and Israel knew exactly what they were doing, you know, and it was the US government that covered it up for them. Absolutely outrageous, and now we know why. On the 8th of June 2010, Hal Finney tweeted, going to Google Calendar page causes an infinite loop of redirects for both my wife's and my Mac's. Google status page says okay. On the 8th of June 2018, the Bitcoin Standard was first published by Saifedean Ammous. Look at that. And that was 2018, so we still got it wrong. So it still doesn't know what Bitcoin is. And that was 2018, so he's got no excuse. No excuse. So it just goes to show that all these shitcoiners are talking absolute crap, as we know they are. So anyway, that is a 32-minute show. Great stuff. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. So as ever, if you enjoy these updates, please ding your donations for your appreciation to either Satoshi at Sentiment.com, Hangcash.io, RockWallet.me, Simply.cash, Related.com, or Senti.ch. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. As ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.